So in this video, I'll be doing a follow-up to my most recent video that I put out yesterday pertaining to the female rapper Glorilla being a potential industry plant, or what a gentleman by the name of Nathan Slavic would call a Mindy artist. So in today's video, I wanted to bring receipts for anyone out there who would think that there was any malice or any hatred that I had for Glorilla's success, right? Now, I made sure I put out the disclaimer because people are always going to have something to say, but I made sure I put out the disclaimer. That I actually like the song, but based upon this article that I read years ago, to me, it was only fair that I questioned her quick rise to fame, the success, and her receiving all the awards and things happening so fast, right? So I wanted to provide proof in today's video. And I know there's still going to be people out there who are delusional. And this is all, once again, it's alleged because I'm not a part of her marketing team. I'm not a part of her record label. I have no ties to Glorilla. I don't know anyone personally who knows Glorilla. But a lot of stuff makes sense. 1 + 1 isn't 8. Once again, as I said, this article was written by djbooth.net. And I'm going to just skip past a lot of this stuff because this guy was just kind of like just tooting his own horn, which as he should, because I was totally unaware back then, but it made sense. But this is the headline. It says, "I created the Mindy artist. Now it's blown up and left me behind. I first wrote about the indie artists secretly signed to major labels years ago. Now everyone from GQ to the New Yorker is following." Now, of course, they could count on the stereotype. Niggas don't read, bruh. But this nigga read, right? They say black people don't read. Somebody just break up in your house and they looking for the money. They looking for a check. They say put it in the book. Coming up with the term Mindy artist might literally be the only thing I could say I completely created myself. So I'm going to just fast forward. It says, here's how we got to this point. 2013, I first wrote an article introducing the idea of a Mindy artist on my old site, Refined Hype. At its core, Mindy described an artist who was publicly pretending to be independent, but behind the scenes was secretly signed to and funded by a major label. A new strategy I had accidentally learned about at a meeting with Atlantic Records. The idea of an industry plant had been around for years, but this was a new level of specificity and smoke and mirrors. It says, and so I came up with a new pretty dumb word to describe it. The thinking went that these artists were buzzing because their fans identified with them as underdogs and outsiders, and labels and artists were loath to upset that dynamic by revealing to fans that their authentic indie hero was in bed with a giant faceless corporation major label but pretended to be indie. He says, October 2014, I shut down Redefined Hype, all those old articles disappearing into the black hole of the interwebs, and moved over to DJ Booth. Since I first wrote about Mindy artists, I had only grown increasingly more paranoid that every buzzing indie artist was secretly Mindy. And so I essentially rewrote the old refined Hype piece. The major difference this time around was that I named names. Logic was Mindy. Young Thug was Mindy. Kevin Gates was Mindy. The same for Cam Meekins, Skeezy Mars. There's some crazy names out there, bro. Like, that Spot 'em Got 'em, all types of weird names. But that also plays into the marketing. The crazier the name, the more, that generates interest when it comes to that particular artist. When you see names like Logic, Young Thug, Kevin Gates, who are relatively big stars now, what would make you think that they're not doing that to much smaller artists or artists who just blows up out of nowhere? Just think about that. If Logic, these are very popular artists, but you can only imagine if they're using artists like Young Thug and Kevin Gates. These are pretty much big artists. So why wouldn't you think that they would use a Glorilla or a Ice Spice, the Baby, Lil Baby, Migos? Like, the list goes on and on. And that doesn't take away from the artist, but to me, it just makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And I'm okay with it because I enjoy it for the entertainment factor. He also spoke about Kalani. And it says, this was August 5th, 2015. Fader runs a cover story on R&B singer Kalani, written by Fader editor-in-chief Naomi Zeiniker, whatever her name is, that makes Mindy a prominent part of the piece. It says, Kalani pays her rent with money from her label, Atlantic, which is priming her as a crown jewel Mindy act, a major artist with any bona fides. Now that streaming has become more popular and grassroots Vine memes have started breaking actual hits, and that's another thing that they don't tell you. A lot of these companies, advertising, they come together and they come up with great memes that'll grab people's attention. So a lot of the memes that you see just pop up in your news feed, you think it's just so funny and they got all these likes. They know how to target our people. They know what we like. They know what to get us laughing. We reshare it, and that also brings relevance to that artist. But it says has started breaking actual hits. It's an increasingly common strategy. A label provides studio time and marketing budgets to an artist who has already found some success independently, taking care not to disturb the existing and profitable direct relationship the artist has with their fans. In some cases, these partnerships are quiet, so fans don't feel like their favorites have changed course. For example, the rapper Logic has said he worked with Def Jam well before announcing his deal. And that's the same thing with Nipsey Hussle. One of Nipsey Hussle's managers, I think his name was Cabot. I actually have a picture with this man. I'm going to go on Facebook. I'm going to actually put the picture up there so you guys can see. I took a picture. He also managed Bone Thugs at the time. But I have a picture with this man. Right? And I want to get his name. So you guys can see. Steve, I think it's Steve Cabot or something like that. Steve LaBelle. So Steve LaBelle used to formerly manage Bone Thugs and Harmony. But he either managed Nipsey Hussle. Let me see, because I want to make sure I'm saying this right. He used to manage Nipsey Hussle as well. And they'll tell you that Nipsey Hussle was previously signed. He was already signed to Atlantic Records. But he sold the illusion of being independent, which is not a bad thing. And I don't know the stipulations between his deal when he signed, when they publicly announced that he signed to, Atlantic Records, because it could have been a partnership. It could have started out as an independent label, and then when he got signed, like officially when they made it public, it could have became a partnership deal because they've made all the money that they need to make while he was independent. Steve LaBelle, Nipsey Hussle. Okay, yeah. So he used to work with Nipsey Hussle, and I don't feel like going to see if he was the manager. Okay, yeah. So he did manage Nipsey Hussle, but as I said, it just goes back to what I was telling y'all. Like he pretty much revealed that Nipsey Hussle was signed back in like 2015 to Atlantic Records. But you could pretty much put two and two together that a large majority of artists are signed to major labels. But they seem like they have a big budget, and the videos, like I'm telling you, it just, for a video to just go viral like that, it's rarely happens. But it just, the thought anthem, thought culture, women empowerment, feminism, you know, they have movies now like Women King. So you got Ice Spice. You thought I was feeling you? Like, that is a munch. So you got so many songs that they pushing. You got Meg Thee Stallion, Cardi B. Women feeling themselves right now. So it makes perfect sense for Yo Gotti to be able to secretly have an artist. And she may not even really be signed to Yo Gotti. She might just be put next to Yo Gotti because Yo Gotti is the face of Memphis. So it says the idea was a big part of these artists' appeal was their indie status. Fans love feeling like they were supporting an indie artist. When you think of hit songs that come out, you know, artists like Young M.A., the Ooh song, it's like a summer wave, summer song that you have that you can, you know, you be at a party and when that song comes on, like all this stuff doesn't just happen by happenstance. It's not a coincidence that they just blow up out of nowhere and they just obtain and, you know, garner all this success that fast. Like I said, there are people who have been on YouTube for years and years who never get approached by labels, never signed to anyone, right? Or never had anyone in a suit show up to their door and be like, hey, bro, you trying to sign this deal? Like, that rarely happens. And I'm not saying that it can't happen, but it don't happen. It's people who I've seen do covers to songs, you know, do covers to popular songs, and they never get signed. I've talked to people who are into animation and said they've never been approached by no, you know, people with, like, I'm talking about with the bag. None of these hedge funds, none of these major corporations approach them about coming over to a Disney or so on and so forth. It's people who have millions of views on YouTube, right? But he says, where did I leave off at? They were supporting an indie artist. They love feeling like the artist's success were their success. And that by making a major label signing public, they ruin that relationship. So just think about it. That makes perfect sense. Because when you have like a NBA young boy, the average person, the average black, we have been wired to be emotional. So when you have an NBA young boy, he comes from a fatherless home. He was in the streets. He had that hood, urban vibe, street feel. He was a typical stereotype. The baby mamas, toting guns in the videos, shirt off. You put it on World Star, and you put it right there with all the local artists who paying their hard-earned money, and you put them right there, right beside one of the videos that's trending beside Nicki Minaj, who, you know, just randomly said something. She went on a rant today, or Nicki Minaj was twerking today. He just came out of nowhere, and his stock started to rise. The numbers started to go up. He goes viral. But it don't really work that way. They're pouring money into that. Independent He's selling the illusion of being independent, but he's getting money put into that. So can you just imagine if a person coming out with a hood video like that, they'll be just pretty much just giving it away. Someone will sense that it's fishy because it wouldn't match up. It wouldn't make sense because just think, you're an independent artist, but you're signed to a label, right? Just imagine you're in a video and you got all this money. How? Just how? How? You're independent. You had to struggle. You came up from nothing. But in this video, you got Lambos, you in mansions. That don't make sense. So they have to keep everything under wraps, right? They have to pretend. And even artists who get to a certain level, they still don't have a lot of money like that. The people who really get in the money are the writers behind the scenes. The people who are writing these records are really getting the money. I'm not sure if y'all seen The Dream versus Sean Garrett's versus battle, hit for hit, but these are the writers, and they're not just the main ones. They have a team of writers sometimes on one record. So it's just entertainment. But as I said, it wouldn't match the story, like him having all this money and having all this money in videos, and then that would give it away. It'd be like, oh, he got to be signed. But you got to put that struggle in that video, that pain, what he's going through, the lifestyle that he's living. You're not going to see him just flashy, just come out of nowhere flashy. They don't get flashy until they made it, because then you still buying into that story. The fans are growing with you. They happy for your success. They seen you come from the bottom and doing those videos. You was just shooting regular YouTube videos off your camera, off your little phone. But now you got it's high-tech cameras now where you paying thousands of dollars. You had somebody like NBA YoungBoy. He had that urban look, that street look that our community is going to buy into. So when they buy into it, he resonate with you. He looks just like you. His story is just like yours. Single mother household, making ends meet in the streets, then got shot before or shot at dudes, or he got multiple baby mamas. They know us. They know how we tick. It's called marketing. But that's not to take away from who NBA YoungBoy is as an artist. He's still a phenomenal artist.